You're thinking about going full time, but have no idea where to start? Let's do a few things. First, I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen and write down everything that is important to you to have on this journey. So, whether that's your kids have their own space and maybe their own room, you want to be able to fit into all the state parks, and maybe you need something a little bit smaller. You want something that has a lot of storage or something that has a lot of closet space. Write down all the things that you want. You might not get them all, but write down the ones that are the most important to you. All right, once you have that list, now we're going to kind of start looking and comparing the different styles or models. Let's start with what we did first. We had a travel trailer. It looked kind of like this right here. And the reason we did that is, one, we had a truck, but we didn't want to put a piece you need to pull a fifth wheel. And we really wanted to have a place that our daughter could have her own room, her own space. And we were kind of on a budget. So that's going to be a travel trailer. They're usually pretty affordable compared to the other ones because they don't have a motor in them. They have quite a bit of space. There are different ranges and sizes. So if you have kids, you can get a bigger one. If you don't, and it's just maybe you can get something like a 24-foot one. So those are really good. They do have quite a bit of storage, not as much like a fifth wheel would, but they're a really great start, which is why we did it. Next, let's talk fifth wheels because they're very similar to a travel trailer, except the fact that you do need a piece for your truck. So for us, we had a very high lifted truck, so a fifth wheel wasn't really an option for us. Plus, they are usually a little bit more expensive, but you can get really nice ones. If what's important to you is feeling like you're in a house but on wheels, that's probably going to be a fifth wheel. They have a lot of storage underneath, so you don't really have to downsize as much as you would with like a travel trailer, but it is very open. They usually have a lot of slides. You can usually get a bunkhouse in the back if you have kids. Or if you want like an outdoor living space, they usually can get like a patio. That's typically a toy hauler, but those are usually fifth wheels. And so those are really great options if that's kind of what you're looking for. You want a big kitchen, you want a house on wheels, you want to go with the fifth wheel. Then you have Class C's. That's what we did this time for a few reasons. One, we like the idea of everyone like being in the vehicle together. So with a travel trailer and a fifth wheel, you're pulling something and then you're all kind of squished up in a truck. If there's a lot of kids or you have a lot of dogs like we do, it's just a lot. In a Class C, we can kind of all be together. We all kind of have space. The dogs can lay on the couch or the bed, and Lexi can be at like the table. We can be doing homeschool on the road as we're driving, which was a huge plus to us. Plus, we have a bunk. You can't really see it right here, above the cab. So Lexi still has like her own space, but it's not a whole room. We found out this time around she didn't need a whole room, and so we kind of vetoed a whole area for her this time, but we still wanted her to have her own space, which was why another reason we really liked the Class C. Plus, you could get a small one, which is what we did. Ours is only 29 foot, so we could fit into a lot of places. Because it does have a motor, though, it is a little bit more expensive, but we could also pull my car, so we can kind of park it and go places with my car, which was also a really big plus. Then similar to a Class C would be a motorhome. Those are the ones that are really, really big. They're really tall. They don't have to be super long. Typically they are, but they are very tall. You're basically driving a really big bus. These you typically see in more like retired older folks. Like, I don't want to say just old people travel in them, but usually it is more retired people. They usually take it, park it in like Arizona, Florida, and stay there for a season. They're not doing a lot of like traveling and moving. It is kind of like the fifth wheel in the sense that you can have a lot of space. There's usually a lot of room underneath. You can have a bunch of slides. So they're just bigger. Again, it's really important. Figure out what you want and what you need. You also do, because it is bigger, you got to kind of be good at driving something that is pretty big. You're going to be taking up a lot of space on the road. They don't typically have bunkhouses. You might get like bunks like in the middle of a Class A, but they don't typically have like their own space. So if that's important to you, you might want to look at something else. Okay, and then last, I'm going to say last because I'm going to kind of group a bunch of them together. You have the pop-ups, you have the slide-in trucks, you have like vans. Those are really good for people that are just kind of solo. So maybe like just you, or maybe just you and your spouse, or you and a friend, or you and a dog. Because there's not a lot of space, right? They don't usually typically have slides. Some do, but very rarely do they have slides. You're not going to have a lot of storage space. These are really good because they're small. You either slide them into a bed of a truck. The pop-ups are usually pretty tiny, or vans, so you can fit a lot of places. So what's most important to you is traveling, going into those boondocking areas, those maybe tight spaces that you can't get a 42-foot fifth wheel in. These are going to be kind of maybe what you want to look at. Again, it kind of has to be just you and a spouse, or you got to be real close. Like, you're going to be on top of each other. So, like I said, make a list, look at what is most important to you, and then go look at some. You can even do like rent an RV, so you can kind of rent it out for a weekend, see if that style and that layout works. There are so many different layouts and styles and colors, and you can change up things pretty easy. If you guys have any other questions, leave them in the comments and I am happy to answer them.